Soulful means something that's heartfelt, deep, and profound. To journey means to travel from one place to another. This show is about deep and heartfelt discussions about where we are, where we're headed, and where we've been. It's a place where we highlight memorable moments we've had. This show is about everything and everyone that is good for the soul.
Welcome to another edition, another episode of Soulful Journey. I am your host with the most, Venus Jones, Venus Love Jones, they like to call me. And would you like to take a deep breath with me? I hope so. Let's do it together. For 1 minute, giving thanks to Don Reed Simmons for this one. And it goes just like this. Let's take one deep breath, at least one. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. And whatever is going through your mind right now, you can let it slip away. Notice how every breath is different from the next, ever changing and ever evolving. It's the same with life. Whatever is going through your mind, you can let it slip away. And just for this moment, we can come back to harmony. Because you are safe, you are accepted, you are forgiven, and you are loved. Thank you for taking at least one good deep breath with me. 1 minute of mindfulness every day is necessary. Yes? I'm hoping that this show has encouraged you to take even more than 1 minute. And I like to start the show off every week by, before I interview my guest, I like to, pretty much share something that reminds me of, of my guest. I have a surprise guest today. And this is something that I would like to share. That reminds me of my guest. Okay. This is a poem. With all that is going on in the world, it's a good reminder. And it's called Perfect Time. You are progressing and your path is clear. If your purpose was fulfilled, you would no longer be here. You are in the right place and everything is just fine. When we stay open to the possibilities, it's the process. That's the reason in the run. Everything happens in perfect time. Everything happens in perfect time. When we start to rush, we lose our minds. No need to speed up and no need to rewind. Have faith and take your time. Enjoy the rising and the setting of the sun. Enjoy the journey of one. Your blessings will fall in line when in the moment you are destined to shine. Just surrender and take back your peace of mind. I said, just surrender all and take back your peace of mind. The seasons are unfolding. But if we run too fast, the trees become blurry and we become blind to the Creator's will and design. Unplanned events add suspense. We're developing our courage and we're developing our confidence. When we walk in with intuition, when we open up our hearts and make up our minds, worry and frantic fear, it may erupt. But that's when we slow down and we fill our spiritual cups, because when we are full of grace and faith, we can build, dream, and climb. And we know it'll all work out fine. Why? Because everything happens in divine and perfect time. Yes, Yes. All right. Let me know what you think about that poem in the chat. I am going to ask that um, thank you. All right. Make sure you sign in because I don't always know who you are if I just see Facebook user, but we are broadcasting right now on the Soulful Journey page. If you don't know, we have a page. So just make sure you look for our Soulful Journey group on the Facebook page. And without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my next guest, who is a surprise. Okay. All right. So just one moment. I have to. All right. Did you see her? She was somewhere in that picture, right along with you. The surprise guest is me. Shake the maracas. Oh, straight from the solar system we call Milky Way, straight from the galaxy. I am your solar sister Venus, and I just wanted to tell you that actually the reason I did have a guest for today, and I told him to hold off because this is a very special reflection episode. Silly and cosmic guest. Thank you. So this is a very reflective episode because this episode is me acknowledging the fact that I've been doing this for 20 weeks. 20 weeks, yes. We started September 1st, and I wanted to take a moment to pause because while some of you were taking time over the break, Soulful Journey was still going. But even the creator takes a pause on the Sabbath. So I said I must take a pause as well. So we are going to take a pause after 20 weeks and reevaluate this show. But as I am looking back on this show, I wanted to just take some time to talk about some of my most memorable moments. Because in the trailer, we talk about the memorable moments we've had. And I have had some very memorable moments on this show within the last 4 months. And I just wanted to acknowledge some of the people who have been on the show and also just talk about the fact that this show has done a lot for me. And the reason why Perfect Time is the piece that I did that reminds me of myself because, I've been wanting to do this show for a very long time in this type of format. And it took a long time for me to get here. What you may not know about me is you see me on here, you see me being visible, you see me shaking my maracas in celebration. But I am somebody who actually, I focus on the positive and I focus on the good because I struggle. I do struggle sometimes with over the years. I've struggled with anxiety. I've struggled with some mild depression. And for me, this show is for people that are like me, who you know that there's things going on in the world, but you want to have a pivot and you want to know, where can I go to get the good news? And that's what I'm proud that how they say you got to be the change that you want to see in the world? Well, I'm proud that I'm actually being visible and having enough self-confidence to show up for you and to show up for myself. That's what Soulful Journey is all about, is that this is a journey. And I have had a lot of different, struggles, just like everybody, especially during the pandemic, right? But we show up for each other. And when we do that, when I say at the end of the show, every time I say, keep looking up and keep looking out, that's really me talking to myself. When I say you are progressing and your path is clear, that's me talking to myself. But if you get something out of it, I'm so happy because that's what this is about. It's about me taking the time every week to take a deep breath with you. And if I'm doing it for you, I'm also doing it for myself. And even though I'm going to take a little bit of a break, don't you worry, I will come back, but I want to take the time to reflect because the show is also supposed to be about reflection. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, thank you for your patience. I really appreciate your support, which is a line from one of my poems about I'm sorry for saying I'm sorry so much. I don't mean to get emotional, but this is kind of why this is so important. When I first started Soulful Journey 3.0, where's my tissue? Oh, I was coming out of a job as a professor and as a teacher, trying to find my way, trying to remember my purpose, and thinking about as an artist, like, what do I want to do? And I remember my husband always saying, like, when he used to hear me talking to my friends on the phone, that, man, I wish that conversation was recorded. And I would think the same thing. I'm like, I know it was so good. And if other people could hear the same insight. So we give thanks because I finally started doing that. I started recording the conversations with some of my most brilliant, the most brilliant lights in my world and sharing them with you. And so often we find ways to not support each other or reasons why not to. But this show has also given me an opportunity to show the people who to give them highlight, the people who have been a lighthouse and who remind me to be a lighthouse, because we're still growing. This is only 20 weeks. But I feel like we've had so many memorable moments. Some of the ones that I want to highlight are times where I was like talking, like, for example, to my first show was with Mystic. And the reason why I call this Soulful Journey 3.0 is because as a reminder for those who don't know, I used to be a DJ. I used to be an on-air personality in Ohio in like the early 90s. And they used to call me Venus Miggity, meaning Miggity Mac. I even got an award for being an on-air personality. And it made me think, wow, I must have a gift with words. I must have a gift with connecting with people, because they gave me an award for it. And I knew it was part of my calling, but it took me a while to get back here and just to share with you. And every day I wake up, almost every day, I think about sharing with you, like my poetry. I have so much work I want to share. So that's why I start off sometimes with a poem, most of the times with a poem of my own, because it gave me an opportunity to do that. So I start off with a poem of my own that reminds me of the person but Mystic was my first guest on September 1st. And he used to be the program director of the radio station where we would call it was called the Soulful Journey. And that's why it was so important for him to be my first guest. So I want to give him a shout out for being my first guest and being brave enough to go live with me, because I know I've had so many people who were just as equally brave to go live with me on this show. And I want to just thank them all, like, just for being so brave for going live. And he talked about letting go, right? On that episode, he talked about the importance of surrender. And then we had Jaquil, right? He was talking about the music that he makes, that soul music, that message music. And it was important for me to have him on the show because in Soulful Journey 2.0, he was like one of my last guests. And he was one of the people that I started interviewing and thought, oh, wow, I really enjoy interviewing people. So we had him on again, and we give thanks for him. If I have to give an award out, I have to give out some rewards then for the most views. And the most views, shake the maracas, the top views go to, in this order, Tynesha Sanders, I want to give a shout out to her. Her and I, we were talking about relationships, and she got a lot of reviews and engagement as well. She wins the award for engagement. So shout out to Tanisha Sanders for that. Many likes on her page and on her interview for just talking about relationships and then what we go through. And then I want to give a shout out to Urel Riley, because he hasn't, ever since he was on the show, he hasn't missed an episode. He's probably in the chat right now. And I want to give thanks for that, because, he's definitely good for the soul. People who are not always doing something because it feeds them, but also because they want us to be supportive. And so I really have to give a shout out to Urel for that. And he's had a lot of views. And then also Jennifer Reel. She also is, definitely comes out on top. And her show, Urel's, was very thought-provoking. Jennifer's was funny. It was funny because we got a chance to improv like the entire time. Her and I, she just started breaking into improv. She just started singing. Like I felt like I was in a musical for it. So again, so it kind of is no surprise that her views were up very high, because of that. Her and I were almost in play mode almost the entire time. And there has been times at the end where I've made people open to the fact of being uncomfortable, because of where there's when you're uncomfortable, there's growth. And sometimes we get outside our comfort zones. I might start playing the drums, and you've seen me like playing the drums with people at the end, or like getting them to sing. And oh my gosh, I got Wally B to sing. That was a memorable moment, because he's a poet, but he's not a vocalist. But he started singing. And I was like, oh, that's brave. That's what we want. I want this space to be a brave space. I want every guest that comes on to feel heard and to know that they did something or answered a question that they never thought of before. So I'm so grateful for anyone who has listened and has been on here and been brave. But I just wanted to give shout outs to those who have had a lot of views too, because that means that you shared the show with others. And those who, if you have gotten some insight out of the show, make sure you share it, make sure you subscribe, and make sure that you give it a thumbs up, because that's what keeps me going. And it also reminds me of what to do again. And I want to, on that note, ask you the question in the chat, because I'm talking about some of my favorite and most memorable moments. What were some of yours? Let me know in the chat what some of your most memorable moments were, because maybe I'm right there with you. And I also want to acknowledge the fact that it's the new moon, right? It is the new me. And I want to say Happy New You and Happy New Year, because all of you who listen, I know that you are all about personal growth, and you do care for your spirit. So give thanks for that, because some people are not here yet. But it is important, especially during the pandemic. That's why we want to continue to move forward and think about, what does this show turn into? What do we want it to be as we grow and as we come back in our second season, if you will. So I'm seeing some love in the chat. I see you. Love and support your courage to show up and be authentic. Thank you for that. Love your energy too. And then you love, okay, thank you. I see Steve, he says, I love when you reappear at the closing of the video. So yes, that's been like an inside joke between Steve and I. Like at the end of the videos, the truth is, for a long time, I did not know how to not show up. I didn't know how not to show up at the end of the trailer. But Steve told me he liked when I came back and said hi and bye like this. So we kind of kept it, or sometimes I keep it and sometimes I don't. So I'm glad that he could share that and let me know. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is like a moment when Yolanda Jett was on. Now, Yolanda Jett is somebody that I grew up with, and just reminiscing with her around the holidays was so cool, and it was just a full circle moment for me. And I want to give her a shout out to her because she's also a patron. And if you would like to be a patron, just make sure that you know that you can start at $1 a month. And that's just $12 for the year, and support this program and all of the other Healing Words initiatives that I have in the works. I'm also working on a Black Lives Matter project right now. So we give thanks for that, because I was awarded a grant for that. But I do want you to know that my vision, my vision is always bigger than my budget. So all of your support, whether it be thumbs up, likes, or even sharing some change here and there, or some tips, do make sure that you check out my link tree. I'm going to ask Steve to put that in the chat, and make sure you know about what you can, I just want to make sure that you know all of the different ways that you can support the show. But also, I'm going to create a poll and put a poll so that I will come up with some really clear questions as we move forward, because this is a co-creation, this show. I do want you to know that this is a dialogue, not a monologue. This is really me reaching out to you to make sure I'm being of service. I am definitely more of a democratic leader, or coming from that feminine energy of wanting to ask first what it is that you need, and be that, because I know what I need, and I'm really speaking sometimes to my younger self, or somebody who's maybe one step behind me. But sometimes I might need your help with knowing what you might want to see. This show, if you don't know, if it hasn't been clear, I want to make it very clear that this show really has been also really about me highlighting artists and activists, which is what I am, right? And what I strive to be, I should say, is someone who is a hero or a shero to someone, so that means it just means that I'm practicing leadership. I'm practicing showing up. I'm practicing rising, as the good book that I wrote, it says to do, the heroes as well as she rose. So I'm doing my best with this show to do just that. And there's ways that we can do that by looking at other unsung heroes and sheroes, and how do we make sure that they feel that they can be on a show like this, because it's by you letting me know, who do you want to see on the show? Is there someone that you think should be highlighted, or someone, especially someone who's been doing some good works, and you feel like they're just not getting a lot of love? So let me know who that person is, and we'll make sure that we reach out, because we want to give people their flowers while they're still alive. Because also another catalyst for the show was Chadwick Boseman's death, and me thinking about just that, how he was doing so much work in the world, and some people may have not known about it. And sometimes there's earth angels here who don't want you to know, what all they're doing. I would love to brag on some people in my life, even my own husband, but he's kind of humble and doesn't like me to talk about him and what he's doing in the world. But at the same time, I still feel like we can still give them space and give them the option to show up and give us some words of insight and wisdom. And I may have Steve on the show, whether he like it or not, to talk a little bit more about that. But I didn't expect to do a whole hour on myself, even though sometimes it's okay for it to be all about me. Yes, hey, always divine is your response. That's what we strive to be, especially in these times when some people are seldom and rarely. But we pray for them. But all I can say is, what's up, Lartasha? Okay, Lartasha Halton. I will look into her as somebody, as a possible guest. Hey, I love to see that interaction and engagement. So again, let me know what one of your favorite shows is. What's nice is that you can go to my YouTube page /Venus Jones and know that if you are on Facebook, that's where the spot is. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and that bell for alerts, so when we do start back up, you'll know. You won't miss an episode. And you can always go back and look at some of the old episodes. They are there for you to peek at. and to get some insights, because there's been some very deep and courageous conversations on this show. And I know a lot of different people in different circles. And I'm still thinking about how to move forward. We may have some celebrities. I have been an actress and I've been an artist for a very long time, so I know a lot of artists, and I have brushed elbows with some celebrities here and there. But I'm not really sure if we'll have them on, just yet, because I'm still in a pilot mode and still just trying to see who my real supporters are. So give thanks for those who are watching right now, and I give thanks just because you're here, and I want to just say thank you. That's what this 20th week is all about. So thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart. You are so good for the soul, and just keep shining. Keep being the light. And maybe I'll end with something for you. Someone says, your husband seems like a really great guy and very supportive of your endeavors. He really is. And I am so grateful. Tell the people that you love them, shake the maracas for them. And especially in times like these, because, there is no day but today. And that's why we show up. Yes. And I want to end with something that would speak to the times. Yes, still got a little snot on my nose. Excuse me. Authentic. Somebody likes my authenticness. That's okay. So let me end though with another piece. Just talking about talking about this drum. I bought a drum for myself. This is it. Isn't it beautiful? Look at that. Yeah. I have been buying things, thinking about this show that are good for the soul. This is one of them. Hey. I also bought this. Hold on. Talking about mindfulness. What you think? Now I'm still learning how to make it sing. But what's inside that tree? That tree over there, you see? Hey, it keeps whispering knowledge to me. It's a mover and a shaker, but grounded by its maker, that tree. Thanks for your patience. Hey. I just wanted to play a little bit for you, and I think I'm I want to give a little commentary on being in the middle of this moment in America, right? Because I live in America, if there's anybody watching outside of America. And this moment of change, right? When I think and I look at some of the people who are upholding systems, I think of a poem that I wrote that I should end with today. I normally march in this poem. And when I think about this poem, I think of the fact that I am, you heard me talk about I want to uphold artists and activists, and I want to highlight them on this show, but I call them artivists, I call them sheroes and heroes among us, but I also call them the ones who speak up and the ones who break the mold. I call them poetic soldiers. In this piece, I wrote it for someone who was standing up for Black lives a long time ago. We may not know, but Paul Robeson, he was so many things. He was known for it, singing as a vocalist in operas. He was an athlete. He was an actor. He was a statesman to some degree because he spoke up politically and worked with different diplomats. One of the poets that he worked with was Pablo Neruda, and when he was outcasted after having so much fame and bringing so much to the world, he was kind of like outcasted and put somewhat in exile for standing up for Black lives. Pablo Neruda stood up for him when it wasn't very popular to do so. So I wrote this poem for Pablo Neruda, but it's also just for any person who was on the front lines. And sometimes the front line is not the picket line. Sometimes it's you using your voice. I want you to repeat after me: my voice and my story matters. Yes, your voice and your story matters. Coming from a flower child like myself, it's real, it's true. I know that it's not easy, but those of us who really want change, I dedicate this to you. If you choose to use art as your activism, I dedicate this to you. And it is a poem that I thought about recently because there's some people who just recently passed away trying to make sure that we uphold truth and ethics. It's always more important than anything, I believe. So let's give thanks. And I'll end with this piece. Yes, your voice and your story matters. Thank you for writing that in the chat. And this goes out to anybody who decided to quit the police force this past week, or decided to jump lines and choose love over fear. Maybe they were in uniform as well. And we give thanks. You can join the ranks with us. A poetic soldier waits in line for the word forward. Pablo speaks of passion in his formal address. He speaks of the sweet waste of America and his detest of Chile's chaotic civil war and the constant state of unrest. A poetic soldier is in step, leading with his left, searching for a way to stoically step out of line. But his truth still marches on. And the voice of the people never left his mind. He is left with an aftertaste. And you can see a pinch of love left in his hard face. So they stampede his home in a whirlwind of ripened rage, seeking to tear and burn each word left on the page. Some noble peaceful march this is. Ready, halt. Love is what it is. The calming stream that warms us with rippling waves, drenching dry feet and healing cracked hands, giving hope to every woman, to every man. May this stream flow to distant shores. May it quench the center of the earth's core. From every dying house, from every dying cell and pore. You may find me in exile with the next oust if they ever say, freedom don't live here anymore. You may find me in exile because I purify the open sore if they ever say, democracy don't live here anymore. A poetic soldier, prized with a red heart waits, as clones seek to puncture, ransack, and kill. The spirit lives on as they drill the mind in an effort to keep the flock bleeding in battle, in an effort to keep the flock blind, and an ambassador to their clear conscience. With belted brass books that shine, we are the people's passion. A poetic soldier is a dictator's deadliest assassin. And even in death, Pablo, you are more than a metaphor or a rhythmic line. You keep giving hope to the hopeless. You keep giving sight to the blind. Forward, march. I salute you. Thank you so much, all my artivists, my poetic soldiers, my heroes and sheroes. You know who you are. Thank you for watching. This show is for you. And we will continue in perfect time. My name is Venus Jones. And if you didn't know, I still want you to keep looking up. I still want you to keep looking out. And when you do, there is a lot less fear. There is a lot less doubt. Do you see me trying to be the one woman show over here? One day I will have a producer who will just push the button for me, but until then, we give thanks as I learn how to surrender too. Yes? And here's your trailer. Ooh, ah. Peace. Don't forget to fill out the poll and don't forget to subscribe and hit the button. Love you.